Om Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 41 to 45.
Prapya punyakritam lokan ushritva shashvati samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga bhrashto bhijayate atrapya punyakritam lokan kule ushritva shashvati samaha Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Bhijayate Tam Buddhi Samyogam Labhate Paurvadehikam Yatate Chatato Bhuyah Samsiddhau Kuru Nandana Purvabhyasamayoginame variyate Kule bhavati samatam jignyasetayogaslabhataram Shadda loke janimayadayirisham prayatnadytamanastu Yogi samshuddha kilbishaha Aneka janma samsiddhaha tato yati param gatim.
A person who is attached to the world. Now, what happens when a person is attached? The person finds a false sense of security. See, a typical person in the world, if you talk to the person, they'll say, I've got a little bit of savings, I've got some money, I've got a stable family, I've got friends. So they find security in these attachments, in external objects, in external relationships. But the true security you get from within, not from the external attachments. The moment you start gaining spiritual knowledge, you understand that by being dependent on the external objects and people, I can't find true security. I have to find true security by identifying with the self within. The more I identify with the self, I become self sufficient. I feel secure. This is spiritual knowledge. So once you gain the spiritual knowledge, you get away from the attachments to the world. You don't cling to your family. You don't cling to your wealth. You still associate with all that you need to associate, but there's no clinging. You get away from that clinging. That is, the attachments reduce and you keep gaining the knowledge you're developing spiritually. Then, as you're developing spiritually, you're still not anywhere near self realization. Self realization is the ultimate goal. You're not anywhere near that. You're going, you're going, you're going. Now, what Arjuna's question, which we looked at in the last class, the question he asks is, what happens to a person in that intermediate stage? See, interestingly, some of you all, when you're learning this knowledge, you're looking at your faults and you're trying to change your personality, remove your faults, all that. So you feel that, listen, there's a lot of imperfection within me. You talk to your friends who have no clue about Vedanta, who are not interested in self development. They seem to be happier. Huh? They're much more happier. They go, they party, they go for a holiday. Oh my God, got a grandchild. They celebrate. And you're wondering what is happening. I'm supposed to be happier because I'm studying Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta. That fellow has no clue of anything. That fellow seems to be happier. This is what happens. See, it's not that that person is happier, it's that bliss of ignorance. They are ignorant and they find that false sense of security in their attachments. I've got all this, I'm okay, I'm happy. Not realizing any of those things a person can lose any moment. It's so ephemeral. It's like walking on thin ice. Any moment you can go down. You, so that's what happens. The moment you develop spiritually and gain a bit of spiritual knowledge, you realize the futility of attachments. You understand the futility of worldly attachments. So you're not going to go back to those worldly attachments because you understand it's futile. Neither are you established in the self. You have not realized the self. You still don't know what the self is. Now, that stage where you're in between, you're neither fully secure in the world, nor are you secure in the self. So, that is the phase which is trying for a spiritual seeker. Interestingly, the only way you can get out of that is through yourself. Nobody can help you in that phase. The guru is there to guide you, the scriptures are there to guide you, but you've got to tread that path on your own. And what happens is if you literally bite your teeth and go through that phase, you get a confirmation. You get a confirmation to yourself that you're in the right direction. See, somebody can come and upset your thinking. They can say, listen, so many years you've been studying. What is it you're benefiting from this? Have you realized the self? What are you? Do you know what the self is? See, they can come and confuse you. They can come and upset you. So you need to be established in the spiritual path. For to be established, you need a confirmation. To get that confirmation, it takes some time. That is beautifully highlighted in the example of Sita. When Sita is captured by Ravana in the Ashokavana. Ashokavana is the gardens of Ravana's palace. Sita refused to go into the palace. She was in the gardens, and Ravana appointed two demons to guard her. So she was there. She had no clue where Rama was, whether Rama knew where she was. She had no idea. She was just there, waiting, waiting, waiting. And that is the time Hanuman, Rama's messenger, he comes and he gives a ring to Sita. That is Rama's ring. The moment Sita sees that ring, she smiles because she knows. You understand? She knows what she knows. She knows that Rama knows where she is. She knows that Rama will come to save her. That's all. Nothing else. That is the confirmation. So, confirmation in that episode is that ring. She got that ring and she knew she'll be protected. She doesn't need to worry. Similarly, even that example I gave last week of that person walking away from the light in the cave and he's exploring the dark recesses of the cave. In between, he's there, he's lost the light from those people, and nothing is there in front of him. But as he goes further, he sees the mouth of the cave, just like a dot. But that is a confirmation, something to peg on to, something to focus on. Somebody's mic is on, there's an interference. You have to be careful, you can't disturb the class. So he sees that mouth of the cave that's dot. That is a confirmation that he's in the right direction. Arjuna's question is, Krishna, what will happen to such a person? What is going to happen? He's supportless. Supportless means there's no security of material attachments, nor is he established in the spiritual self. In that sense, there's no support. And he's deluded, he's confused, he doesn't know where he's going, what he's doing. What will happen to such a person? Will he not perish? In other words, Arjuna's point is it worth taking to the spiritual path? Is it worth it? After so much effort, you don't reach the self, what will happen? And now Krishna gives the answer, verse 40.
श्रीभगवानुवाच पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति श्रीभगवानुवाच पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति.
The blessed Lord said, O Partha, neither here nor even hereafter is there destruction for him. Meaning, he will never perish. Neither here nor even hereafter, not even in the future. So, in the present and in the future, there is no destruction for such a person. Verily, none who does good, O beloved, comes to grief. None who does good comes to grief. So Arjuna's fear is that will that person not perish? To which directly Krishna answers and says, there is no destruction for such a person. Now, what is meant by destruction here? Destruction is at all levels of the personality. So you can destroy yourself through sense addictions. Sensually, you get addicted, you can destroy yourself. Similarly, through emotional attachments, you can destroy yourself. A famous example in Robert Browning's poem called Andre del Sarto. Andre del Sarto was a famous painter and he lost everything. He lost his talent and everything because of his infatuation to his wife, Lucrezia. He got infatuated with her to such an extent that the king of France appointed him and commissioned him to do a few paintings. He took that money and ran away with his wife and built a house. So the king of France was after him, saying, where is my paintings, which is commissioned? Because the wife had a lover. In the poem it says, wife had a lover. She was not even interested in him. Extreme attachment. What is the result of extreme attachment is that you lose the object of attachment. You lose the person you get attached to. Because the person gets sick and tired of your attachment. They can't stand it. So destruction can be at any level of the personality. So no destruction for a person who develops spiritually. It is like a piece of metal. When the piece of metal is exposed to the weather outside, it gets corroded. When there's wrong exposure for the metal gets corroded. Similarly, when you don't have the spiritual knowledge and you contact the world, your mind gets corroded. So, spiritual knowledge, the Vedantic knowledge, acts like shock absorbers in a vehicle. The shock absorbers absorb all the shocks, so you don't feel it as a passenger. Similarly, this knowledge absorbs the shocks, the knocks and shocks, the stress and strain of the world. You don't feel it. Neither here nor even hereafter is there destruction for him. He won't get destroyed. Verily, none who does good comes to grief. Does good spiritually is understood. What does it mean doing good? I am going to an orphanage and giving money. I'm volunteering there. That's not what they're talking about. So, what he means here is doing good spiritually, spiritual development, sense control, reducing the attachments, gaining the knowledge, strengthening the intellect. So, three things essentially. Physically, you be energetic, performance of duties. In the performance of duties, physically, you should be energetic. Second is emotionally, you surrender. And intellectually, develop the intellect. You respect and follow the scriptures. So, such a person doesn't get destroyed. Nothing happens to the person. You get protected by that knowledge itself. The knowledge itself protects you. Oh, beloved. Beloved here indicates that love that the teacher has towards the students, that mutual love and mutual respect is what enables this transaction of knowledge. See, suppose you come to the class and you're saying, oh gosh, I have to look at him the whole class. Suppose you're thinking like that. And if I'm coming to class thinking, oh gosh, all these people come. You understand? How can we have this transaction of knowledge? So you look forward to seeing me, I look forward to seeing you all. You understand? That mutual love and respect that we have, that's what is indicated here. Oh, Partha, neither here nor even hereafter is there destruction for him. Verily, none who does good, O beloved, comes to grief. Next verse.
प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते.
Having attained to the worlds of the righteous and having dwelt there for eternal years, he who has fallen from yoga is born in the home of the pure and wealthy. Now, in this next two verses, this verse 41 and 42, is reincarnation. The theory of reincarnation states that the subtle body drops the physical body. When do you die? You die when your subtle body leaves the physical body. because the physical body is no longer able to fulfill the desires. When the physical body can't fulfill the desires anymore, it doesn't have any purpose, it doesn't have a use. So your subtle body drops this physical body and seeks another physical body to exhaust the desires. It is not God who's deciding when you should die. It is not the devil which decides when you should die. It is your own subtle body that is deciding. In that sense, every death is a suicide. You understand? If you analyze it that way, every death is a suicide. It's your subtle body which is deciding. And then you move to the next body, and then you continue to fulfill your desires. The body that you choose will be dependent upon your desires. As your desires, so the next embodiment. Suppose a person has got materialistic desires. The person needs a materialistic environment to fulfill those desires. Person who has spiritual desires doesn't need a materialistic environment, needs a spiritual environment. As the desires, so the embodiment, so the environment that you're born in, so is the family that you're born in. Interestingly, let's say uh, the couple and both are doctors and they're both very successful, a husband and wife, and they have two children. The first child grows up and takes up to medicine. Hmm? Because is interested in medicine. In other words, that child was born into that family because they have the interest in medicine, the desire for medicine. The second child is also born into that family. The second child is not interested in medicine. But what is the second child interested in? Interested in money, because the parents have got a lot of money. They say accumulate a lot of money. So the second child wants that money to do some business. So you may have few children. Each one's nature will be different. This is how it works. But they're seeking something in you, something in that household, something in that environment. This verse 41 is giving us the theory of reincarnation from a materialistic point of view. So, what is it materially that anyone will aspire for? Two things: peace and prosperity. A worldly person, what does a person want in the world? I want to be happy. I want to be contented. I want to be peaceful. Number one. Number two, if you say, oh, I'll give you peace, are you happy? Of course, I'm happy, but you know what? I want a bit of prosperity also. Without money, how can I do anything? I need a bit of prosperity. So, two things people need: one is peace, other is prosperity. A person who has done good in the world, who has helped people, who has served people, materially, that person has been good. Such a person is given this reward. He's born into a family which is pure and wealthy, mentally pure in the sense they have values, they have principles, fine values and principles. Second is they are wealthy. Your needs are taken care of. You don't have to worry about getting anything. Everything comes to you. You achieve peace and prosperity. This is the reward for your unselfishness in the past life. If you're unselfish, this is the reward you'll get. You're born into the family of pure and wealthy. Shuchinam Srimatam. Shuchi means pure. Srimatam is wealthy. It's a difficult combination to get. People who are wealthy may not be pure. People who are pure may not be wealthy. To get both in the same family is not easy. So again, Krishna is answering Arjuna's question. If a person is on the spiritual path and doesn't accomplish it, doesn't achieve self-realization, what will happen to such a person? Two options. Krishna is explaining. This is the first option. First option is you are born into a family of pure and wealthy, which is a reward for your unselfish actions. You have helped people, you have served the society. As a reward, you're given this embodiment. You're given this environment, given that family. The theory of reincarnation is the transference of the subtle body and causal body from one gross body to another gross body. I repeat, the transference of subtle and causal bodies from one gross body to another gross body. This is the death of the previous body and the birth of the new body. When the subtle body and the causal body leaves, the physical body will die, is gone. And then it moves to a next body, and there you come alive. So you're still continuing. In other words, you're not dying. It's only the physical body that dies. You still continue. You carry on. Your subtle body and causal body still carries on. So see that on the screen, the theory of reincarnation. Transference of the causal and subtle bodies. Causal body, you all know, is vasanas. Subtle body is mind and intellect. So transference of vasanas and mind and intellect from one physical body, gross body, to another. Now, next verse is explaining what happens if you do spiritual good. Here you're doing material good, helping the world. Next is spiritual good. If you're interested in spiritual growth and development, then where will you be born? Verse 42.
अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरम् लोके जन्म यदीदृशम् अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरम् लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्.
Or he is born into a family of wise yogis only. Verily, a birth such as this is very difficult to obtain in this world. Now he is talking about a person who is not interested in anything in the world. The person only wants spiritual enlightenment. If you're interested in spiritual enlightenment, you don't need a family which is pure and wealthy because you've grown out of that. You've grown above it. What do you need? You need an environment that is conducive for spiritual thinking, spiritual growth. And that's what is indicated here, family of wise yogis only. Environment or the family which values spiritual knowledge, which promotes spiritual knowledge. encourages your spiritual effort. In fact, today, if you want to develop spiritually, you have to do it against all odds because everybody will discourage you. Everybody will say, question why you're doing this, why you're wasting your time. Against all that odds, you're still continuing to make that effort. But here, in this case, they will promote your efforts. They'll encourage your efforts. So suppose you tell your family, I want to wake up 4:30 in the morning. What? 4:30 you're waking up? Huh? Okay, something wrong with you. Straight away they'll discourage you. Whereas the family of wise yogis, they will encourage you. They say, yes, wake up, do this, do that. We'll help you with it. They'll support you. They'll encourage you. So guide you in that direction, which takes you to the self. Because you have such a desire. You have a spiritual desire. Whereas the previous verse, that person didn't have a spiritual desire. He just wants to be materially comfortable. In the world, he wants to be comfortable. Now, if you give that person this environment, he'll be frustrated. You understand? Suppose the person wants pure and wealthy, and you put him into a family of wise yogis, he'll be frustrated. And vice versa. Person who's spiritually inclined, you put him into a materialistic family, it won't work. So, depending upon your constitution, your desires, you get the family, you get that environment. So, you don't need to curse your parents. Oh, why did I get these parents? You are the one who wanted that. You understand? You are the one who have chosen them. It's a child who chooses the parents, the child who chooses the environment. A birth such as this is very difficult to obtain in this world because very difficult to find people who are spiritually inclined. Very few can even conceive the self, forget about promoting the self. But I know what you will all choose. Huh? He says, very difficult this is. I say, I think I'll go for pure and wealthy. That sounds much better. So 41, verse 41 is unselfish actions produce punya. Punya is a merit. You gain merit. And as a reward for your merit, you're given a family of pure and wealthy. It will give you happiness, but it's only temporary happiness. Whereas this verse 42 is if you are selfless, you are aspiring to reach the self, you get self realization, which will give you permanent happiness. The path of renunciation, the path of spirituality you're choosing is very difficult to obtain. It's not easy. There's a lot of effort you've got to put in to deserve this. The law is you get what you deserve. Whatever your efforts are, you'll be rewarded according to that. It's not one or the other. It could be a combination of both as well. A little bit of pure and wealthy, a little bit of spirituality. That is also possible. Depending upon your desires, your aspirations. Okay, next verse.
तत्र तं बुद्धिसंयोगम् लभते पौर्वदेहिकम् यतते च ततो भूयः संसिद्धौ कुरु नन्दन तत्र तं बुद्धिसंयोगम् लभते पौर्वदेहिकम् यतते च ततो भूयः संसिद्धौ कुरु नन्दन.
There, where, when he says there, where is that there? There means in the next life. When he's born into the next life, there united with the knowledge acquired in his former body. In that past life, whatever knowledge he's acquired, he strives more than before for perfection. O Kurunandana, O son of the Kurus, another name for Arjuna. Now, what is referred to here is that when you are reborn, when you reincarnate, you carry forward the knowledge from the previous life. So, all the knowledge that you acquired in the past life, you carry that forward, not in terms of memory. You won't remember all the thoughts, but the essence of what you have learned, you carry that forward, which is what we call as wisdom. You carry forward the wisdom, not the knowledge. So suppose you're studying all the Bhagavad Gita, all the chapters, you're studying the Vedanta books, everything. And when you die and you're reborn, you will not remember all that you've learned in terms of the Bhagavad Gita chapters and all that. But the essence of what you've learned, that will come to you in the next life. Let's say in this life, you came in touch with philosophy, with Vedanta at the age of 40, just as an example. Hmm? Now that you're fully prepared in this life, when you die, straight away you'll get on to Vedanta from a young age because you already have that base, you already have that foundation. So that's what he's saying here. They're united with the knowledge acquired in the former body. Whatever you've acquired in the former body, you in the next life you get united with that. He strives more than before for perfection. There's an extra momentum you're getting, an extra impetus. Plus, the environment is also conducive, which is what we saw in the last couple of verses. The environment is conducive. You're getting a conducive environment and you have more knowledge. That's it. You will be able to do much better. Spiritual knowledge is never a waste. The effort that you make for gaining spiritual knowledge in this life, it will help you with every choice that you make, with every decision that you make, the knowledge will help you. Plus, in the next birth, you carry it forward. You carry it with you. In fact, you can't carry anything else except this knowledge. You can't carry your possessions. You can't carry your family. You can't carry fame, status, nothing you can carry. The only thing you can carry is knowledge. Oh Kurunandana, oh Arjuna, invest in that knowledge. Invest in something that you can carry forward with you. Next verse.
पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव ह्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव ह्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते.
By that former practice alone, he is born irresistibly. Even wishing to know yoga, he goes beyond Shabda Brahman, which means word Brahman. He's still continuing with the same thought flow. You're reincarnated, you're coming to a new embodiment, and you bring forward the wisdom from your past life, and the environment is conducive for you. As a result, you're able to act better, strive better for spiritual growth. By that form of practice alone, he is born irresistibly. Born means he's carried forward, he's transported. There's a push from behind. If you have done the right actions in the past. Even wishing to know yoga, he goes beyond Shabda Brahman. In other words, all that you need in the next life is just a reminder. You don't need any encouragement. You know exactly what to do. You just need a reminder to point you in the right direction, and you straight away go. You know the direction thereafter. In the story of Ramana Maharishi, when Ramana Maharishi was a young boy and he was going to school, the he was given some money to pay to the school fees. He's taking the money and he was going. As he was walking to the school, a couple of strangers were walking on the other side of the road, and he just heard that word Arunachala. Just a word, he heard Arunachala. That's it. He turned, he never went to school thereafter. He went to Arunachala. He went to the mountain and sat there and never came down. You understand? That's what he means. Even wishing to know yoga, he goes beyond Shabda Brahman. Just a little reminder the person needs, because he's already made that effort in the past life. He knows what to do. Just a little reminder to push him in the right direction. Past efforts plus present environment gives you that momentum. It gives you that push. He goes beyond Shabda Brahman, word Brahman. Word Brahman means symbol of Brahman. Word which is associated with speech, which is associated with sound, is the subtlest symbol of Brahman. Because sound is associated with space. Space is the subtlest element. So sound is the subtlest symbol of Brahman. What is beyond sound is Brahman. So going beyond Shabda Brahman means you reach Brahman. That's what it means. So even in meditation, the meditator maintains the chant of the mantra. And when the meditator stops the chant of the mantra and drops that last thought, he goes and achieves Brahman, achieves self-realization. So in that sense, goes beyond word Brahman, goes beyond that chant, that last thought. So what is beyond the sound is the reality, is Brahman. Even wishing to know yoga, he goes beyond Shabda Brahman. That's why in the Bible, when it says in the beginning was the word, that's what they mean. So how did creation start? Creation starts with a thought, with a word, with a sound. So when you go beyond creation, the last thing to go is that last word, the last sound. Then you go beyond that and reach Brahman. You go beyond creation, which is self-realization. See that famous statement from the Bible. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That is Shabda Brahman, Word Brahman. So going beyond the word means going beyond the world, going beyond the sound, beyond elements. You're going beyond the world, beyond creation. So the whole journey is explained it. You develop spiritually. If you don't achieve it, doesn't matter. You'll go into the next life. You'll carry forward that knowledge with you. You'll get a good environment. You can put in more efforts, carry on, until you drop that last word, that last thought. Then you hit self-realization. then you achieved it. Okay, next verse.
प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्धकिल्बिषः अनेकजन्मसंसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिम् प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्धकिल्बिषः अनेकजन्मसंसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिम्.
But the yogi, striving with assiduity, completely purified of sins, perfected through many births, then reaches the supreme goal. The yogi strives with assiduity. Assiduity means perseverance, diligence, consistency. See, this is the only place that you should be selfish. Where is the only place you should be selfish? As far as your spiritual efforts are concerned. But this selfishness is not the small s, is the big S. It's selfish, but it is the big S, meaning you're selfish towards the self, not towards your small self, not towards your ego. You want to reach that supreme being, that supreme self, and uncompromisingly you make that effort. One of the best examples is you have to operate like the Terminator. Huh? The next retreat, we'll show them that film. Terminator. We'll get lots of people coming then. If you tell people, oh, we're showing Terminator the retreat, it'll be a house full, oversubscribed. Oh, it's such a fantastic example. What is that example? It fits in this verse. See, Terminator never stops. It is designed to kill. It will continue killing, killing, killing. Even if you blow off the Terminator's hand, that one hand also starts shooting separately. You understand? Or the fingers, you cut the fingers off, fingers also start killing. It is designed to kill. It will never stop. So it's terrifying when you see the Terminator. Exactly the same thing, the spiritual person. Single pointed focus on spiritual development. No nonsense, no compromise. Get thee behind me, Satan. I'll have none at thy hands. Get thee behind me, Satan. What is Satan? Satan means the desires, the temptations in the world. When you encounter any temptation, get thee behind me. Interestingly, Christ doesn't say get lost. He said, get thee behind me. What he means is, you don't tell me what to do. I'll tell you, you follow me. I don't follow you. That strength, that consistency, completely purified of sins. So once you have that focus, all the vasanas, sins means vasanas go away. Perfected through many births, then reaches the supreme goal. The importance of that shraddha, that determination and that consistency. Next verse.
तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद्योगी भवार्जुन. तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद्योगी भवार्जुन.
The yogi is deemed superior to the ascetics, superior to even the wise, and superior to performers of action. Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Therefore, be a yogi, O Arjuna. It's almost the concluding advice that Krishna is giving. If you remember, when we started this chapter, the very first verse of 6th chapter, he defined who is a yogi. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiyaha. One who does what he or she ought to do is a yogi. Now here he says the yogi is superior to three types of people: karmi, tapasvi, jnani. Now this verse is a classic example of not getting caught up with these terminologies. See, for example, when you read this verse, you'll come out of it and say, "Oh, yes, I want to be a yogi," because that's what is given here. Be a yogi, Arjuna. It says, "I want to be a yogi." Now, when we get into the next chapter, chapter 7, in that chapter, he says, Jnani is the best. Yogi is useless. Now, you say, no, excuse me, last chapter you said, be a yogi. Yogi is useless. Jnani is the best. You get confused. Which do you want me to be? Do you want me to be yogi? Do you want me to be a jnani? Now, they're just playing around with words. So don't get carried away with these words. The yogi in chapter 6 is same as jnani in chapter 7. Purposely, they're using two different words to test your understanding, whether you've understood the basics, whether you understood the concept. Now, what does it mean, these three types of people? Karmi means what he says a performer of action, one who is attached to karma yoga. Similarly, a tapasvi, an ascetic here, is one who is attached to bhakti yoga. And a wise person, a jnani, is one who is attached to jnana yoga. In other words, they are also doing the spiritual activities, but they are entangled in the spiritual activities. They are caught up in the spiritual activities. As a result, they don't develop. See, there are two types of attachment. One is attachment to the world, other is the attachment to the spiritual path itself. You've got to overcome both those attachments. Not only the worldly attachments, the attachment to the spiritual path is also a deadly attachment. In fact, the Isavasya Upanishad says the attachment to the spiritual path is worse than the attachment to the world. Because if a person is attached to the world, you tell that person get onto the spiritual path and he can come out of the attachments. But if you get attached to the spiritual path itself, what do? The psychiatrist gets mental problems. A psychiatrist gets disturbed. Oh, where is he going to go to? I don't understand. So, material attachments, worldly attachments, and then spiritual attachments. He is talking about spiritual attachments in this verse. So, karmi is attached to karma yoga. Tapasvi, ascetic, is attached to bhakti yoga. Jnani, wise person, is not really a wise person. He's just using the word wise. He's attached to jnana yoga. He's attached to knowledge. He's just analyzing and analyzing, but he's not really gaining that wisdom. Therefore, be a yogi, Arjuna. Who is a yogi in this verse? A yogi is one who has a clear focus on uniting with the self. The word yoga is to unite, is to join. He's only interested in joining with the self. As a result, he is not carried away by any other activities. Whatever activity he does, in the background, he's thinking, I have to get to the self. I have to get to the self. That's the quality Krishna is referring here when he says, Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna, be a yogi. Keep the focus on the goal at all times. Never lose sight of the goal. And then he concludes in verse 47.
योगिनामपि सर्वेषाम् मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो माम् स मे युक्ततमो मतः योगिनामपि सर्वेषाम् मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो माम् स मे युक्ततमो मतः.
And of all yogis, he who, with the inner self absorbed in me, worships me with Shraddha, he is considered by me to be wholly united. Yukta tamaha. Yukta tamaha means completely united, totally united. United with what? United with the self, is merged with the self, is become a self-realized person. Of all yogis, he who with the inner self absorbed in me worships me. Me means the self. He is focusing on the self, single-pointedly working towards it with Shraddha. See, they keep referring to Shraddha quite a lot of times because Shraddha is one of the most important qualities. Not only in the spiritual path, even to achieve anything in the world, you need Shraddha. That determination, that consistency you need. So these are the qualities of a yogi. And if you develop the qualities, before long, you reach the self. You get to that ultimate state. This ends the 6th chapter. And now we will see the Anta Shloka, the concluding verse.
ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासूपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे ध्यानयोगो नाम षष्ठोऽध्यायः.
When we finish the chapter, we always chant the first verse of the chapter once to remind ourselves that we're going to go back and start reading the chapter from the beginning. So with that humility, let's chant the first verse of the chapter together.
Shri Bhagavanuvāca Anāshritah karma phalam Karyam karma karoti yaha Sasannyasi cha yogi cha Na niragnir na chakriyaha.
So we'll start the 7th chapter of the Gita in the new year. So this will be the last Wednesday class in this year.